Hello and welcome to The Hero Spouse. I'm Kendra Ruth, here to answer one of your questions about marriage and midlife crisis. Today we have Chad. Chad has a bomb drop of April 1st, 2022 and a date of marriage of 2003. His wife is a clinging boomerang and a high-energy replayer. He says, "We got married as Christians. We have 4 kids. My wife became atheist around bomb drop and has been angry that I haven't walked away from the church. She's been having an ongoing emotional affair with an atheist for 2 years, and she's had a couple physical affairs over the past year. But now she has started spending every night with a different man for money. They're paying her to be physically intimate with them, but they're not supposed to have sex, but who knows what happens off the clock. I'm unwilling to ask her to move out because I love her deeply, and I'm not going to do anything to increase the risk of divorce, and statistically, separation increases the risk of divorce. I'm very committed to my vows, and I have a ton of love and empathy for her still. She's in a lot of pain, and it breaks my heart, but this new activity is difficult for me to accept. What can I do besides focus on my kids and try to detach? How do I show her love and see her best during this time?" This is a new one. Okay, so you already know it. Your wife is prostituting herself. She is being an escort. In some of the escort services, it's as you've described, or sugar daddies, that they are supposed to be, level of intimacy, but not take it to sex. But who knows unless there's a consensual meeting of it, but the money isn't for that part. Yeah, she's prostituting herself though. So let's break this into a few things. We have the prostitution part. We have the religious part. She's been seeing an atheist having an emotional affair with an atheist for, I think you said, a couple of years now. So before bomb drop. So first thing, there was an influence before bomb drop. But really what I'm wondering is, she became atheist and she's upset that you haven't walked away. Now, atheists, being an atheist does not mean a person is intolerant of religion. Being religious does not mean a person is intolerant of atheists or other religions, but many people are intolerant. Many Christians are intolerant, and atheists as well. Many atheists are derogatory toward people who have religious faith. So that may be what's going on with this atheist, but what happened? What happened in the church? Has she felt betrayed? Has something happened? Or has it simply been other things going on globally or locally within the church and other things? So I'm Lutheran. Lutherans are very progressive. Very, I want to say tolerant, but I don't want to see, oh, well, that means others aren't. Some aren't. And there are some Lutheran denominations that are less tolerant than what I at least have experienced and grown up with. But we're not fundamental. We don't take the Bible literally. And we look at it within the historical context. There's a lot of commingling these days of religion and politics. And that can be really damaging. And so is she becoming jaded by something like that? What in the religion is making her jaded for religion? And approach it with an open mind as to not we're right, you're wrong, but why is she feeling this way? So that then it's less judgmental. Okay, that's part of it. Now, you talked about statistically separation increases the risk of divorce. There are the big statistic that's thrown out there on different things on divorce rates is that 50% divorce. That's really not as accurate. I believe, at least when I was looking at statistics years ago, it was about in the 30s. 30% of marriages ended divorce, or 36%, something like that. But that is if you lump all people getting married into one general group. If you get married and you're both 18, people who are married at 18, their rates are higher than 36%. In fact, 25, the statistic is 25 and over have a better rate than lower. So wait till you're 25 or over to get married would be one of those. If you have parents who have divorced, you have a higher rate of divorce in that if you have a history of divorce within your family. So the point being, you're taking a statistic here. Statistically, separation increases the risk of divorce. If you take 100% of separated couples and you don't include any other variables, yeah, that is true. And it makes sense. I mean, how better married, better together than married, right? But let's add some variables to that. And does it really increase the risk of divorce in your situation? First thing, your wife is sleeping with other men. And now she's doing it for money. So it's not just, she's sleeping with multiple men. She is giving up her body. She's giving up her bodily autonomy, which says a lot about her, about how she's feeling about herself. But you're allowing it. And what I mean by you're allowing it is, you know what's happening. It appears that she knows that you know about it. If she didn't know, if she was hiding it from you and she really thought you didn't know, then yeah, you're allowing it, but at least she doesn't know that she's getting away with something. You're teaching her how to treat you. And what you're teaching her is that she can do anything. She doesn't have to follow the rules. And she may be looking at that as he's not respecting himself because of what I'm doing. He should kick me out. Maybe he doesn't care enough to set these boundaries with me. Think about how we are supposed to discipline our children and how having rules is a form of having love. You go to a house where they don't have rules. Well, I guess they didn't love me enough to stop me from running across the street and teaching me not to do that and setting up guidelines for me. Rules, boundaries, they're a way of love. And she sees that you're not doing that. She might see that you're in pain. But being in pain and not doing anything to stop what's happening that is pain to her and pain to you, she's seeing that as a sign of weakness. You're not only teaching her how to treat you, but she's seeing how you're treating her. And she's not seeing maybe she's seeing some of the grace, but it's more rooted in fear. It's more rooted in, I have to let these things happen. So, I want you to reframe that. Because I can't tell you to separate, to tell her she has to leave the home. I can advise that. But I know that you've said that your line, not your line of standing, but I don't want to do that. I would advise you to do it, though. I would advise you to take some time and reframe the situation. Because why would your situation get better if you are allowing her to do what she's doing? And in this case, usually I'm talking to somebody who they're allowing their wife to have an affair and do it. But you're allowing your wife to prostitute herself, to sleep with other men. And you know it's that. Intimacy. So, and what does that mean? You said she's spending time with a different man. They're pairing her for physical, but they're not supposed to have sex. What does that mean? What is not supposed to have sex? Does that mean not supposed to have the type, a sex that could lead to pregnancy? Whether you're fertile or not, but pregnancy. So is oral off the table? Really? Is everything but penetration? Or maybe it's not everything. Maybe penetration is included if it's twice. And then we know that the other regular sex is probably they're going to get to there. And you know that. First thing, it's not healthy for you. And if it's not healthy for you, it's not healthy for your children. And if it's not healthy for you, it's not healthy for your marriage. So you have to weigh what is less healthy for your marriage. Separation while she's doing this, or allowing her to be at home while doing this? Where is the greater levels of toxicity? The greater level of toxicity, in my view, is to your children and you with her at home. It's not healthy. So here's the other thing. Children are better off if their parents stay married, if the relationship is not high conflict. But they are better off if their parents are divorced or not together, if the relationship is high conflict. Now, I don't know where this subjective high-low changes over and becomes that toxic level. But it's something to think about, because it does mean that unhappy couples, but low conflict, their children are better off if they stay together, even though they're not happy together. Now, the best thing would be to get some therapy and become happy together. But now, you're in a toxic situation. What is more damaging to the children as well? Oh, separation is damaging to them. Their mom is not only sleeping with multiple men, but she's doing it for money. And don't cry with the excuse, oh, they don't know that's what she's doing. They don't have to know all of the details to know that something is wrong. First thing, how is it emotionally degrading you? How is it emotionally degrading her? How is the resentment building up? It is a situation that, if it's not high conflict now, it's a volcano building up. Building. My best friend was in a marriage that was high conflict. He was abusive because he was an addict. But when I gave her the information about high conflict, low conflict, better for the kids, that sort of thing. Because I was like, are you at high or low? She's like, well, I don't know, because, and this is the confusion. It wasn't constantly abusive. It was 1 or 2 blow-ups a year, but they were big. And only one time did she get physically hit. And it was with some other college friends of ours. And ooh, it was bad, because apparently they called the police. And when she saw him in jail later, her husband had been beat up. It was high conflict. Everyone, for one thing, during the times where it wasn't literally conflict in there, in the sense of him either being physical or emotionally abusive, they were waiting for the other shoe to drop. They're waiting for it to happen again and again and again. It was high conflict. Just the tension in your house. You're in a dangerous situation for your children emotionally. It's not stable. And so you have some decisions to make about what kind of boundaries to set with her. You can say, you know what, this is not appropriate. And if you want to stay here in this house, you need to stop this behavior. Now, don't expect her to actually do it. What that is a boundary. Then you have, and if you don't, here are the consequences. How do you show her you love her and see her best during this time? You tell her, I'm doing this because you're hurting yourself. And I don't have control of it, but I love you. But I can't be there for you in the manner that we have been, because it's enabling you. It's causing our relationship to be more toxic. And it's damaging you, it's damaging me, and if it's damaging me or you, either one, it's damaging us, and it's damaging our children. You focus on the kids, you focus on yourself, you try to detach, but you need the boundaries. I'm sorry, Chad. It's really important you figure something out. I want to see that your children are in therapy as well. And I would like you, but I want them in therapy. Okay? Your primary job right now is Papa Bear, taking care of and protecting those children. And next, if it goes more advanced, you need to get custody. You need to get, sounds terrible, but you need to get some evidence of what's going on, because she's not going to be an appropriate parent if she were there. Imagine that, I take care of them and everything, but then she still is escorting, say. Does she bring them into the house then, or does she leave? Does she leave with them with sitters or alone while she goes out to prostitute herself with other men? she's not going to be a stable and appropriate and mature parent. And that needs to be your job. Okay? I'm sorry. I hope this helps, and I will see everybody in the next question.